Hello everybody, welcome back. For those of you that are new to the channel, my name's Jase, and this channel is all about our journey to become more self-sufficient. So the weather's warmed up, it's about 4:45 in the evening, and it's nice we can get out and do a bit after work now. So this evening I'm going to plant onions, and the first ones I'm going to plant in this bed are Elsa Craig, which I have been growing from seed since the beginning of February, and they're probably 4 inches tall now, a couple of leaves on them, and with the weather warming up I think it's time to put them out. I do have 2 trays. I'm going to put 1 tray out for now and keep 1 back in reserve. So let's get them out of the cold frame. So these are the 2 trays of Elsa Craig onion, and I don't think there's a lot between them. This tray's maybe a little bit further on, and each onion's got at least a couple of leaves now, so they're big enough to be transplanted. And rather than transplanting them into modules, this year I've decided to go straight from the tray to the ground. And I've prepared the bed as best I can. It's had some homemade compost on it, and I've had slug pots out there for a good month now, just trying to get rid of any pests that are there. Not that I find onions suffer too much from slugs, but it's always worth doing. So we'll get these put in and I'll show you how I do it. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is get them out of this tray and get them separated, and they are quite fragile, so I do need to try and do this carefully. Just try and loosen the compost up a bit. And then it's a question of just gently teasing them apart. And there's a single onion just there. It's got some good roots on it. So that's how we're going to do it, and we're just going to plant those in the bed. So I'll show you how I do that. Now this bed's about 1 metre wide. So, and I want an area of about 6 inches per onion. Because if you think when the onion's grown, it's going to be something like that, hopefully. So you need 1 inch or 2 between each onion as well. So I'm going to come in a little bit from the edges of the bed and just pop them in like that. Right, every 6 inches or so. And if you're trying to space things out equally in a bed, a good way to do it is put 1 at that end, 1 at this end, and then put 1 in the middle, and then divide that space again. So I'll get 5. I'll get 5 across. I'll just move this one just to equal it up a bit. And there we go. And then what I'm going to do on the next row is I'm going to put 4, because that means rather than coming 6 inches this way, I can come say 4 inches and then one here. So I'm doing like a dice pattern. So it'll be a row of 5 and then a row of 4. And these definitely ready for transplanting now. They've certainly grown on, got some good roots, and it's time for them to move on into their permanent homes. So then I'll come another 4 inches from this one, but in line with that one. Give them plenty of room to grow. If they don't have a lot of room, you're going to have small onions. If you want small onions, that's fine. So I'll crack on and get these done, and then I'll bring you back to plant some onion sets as well. So that's about 2/3 of that little seed tray, and it's got me to here. I don't know if you can make out the little seedlings on the camera, but yeah, a lot of onions there. And by the time I've finished putting that tray in, I'm probably going to be another 2 meters that way, and I've still got the other tray as well. So by the time I've done, this bed will be completely done, and this bed's about 7.5, 8 meters long and 1 meter wide. So a lot of onions, but we like onions, you know. Every time we cook we use an onion. So, and you can always give some away, and you know, don't have to use them all, but it's nice to have them. And a packet of seeds is a few quid. So I'm going to leave doing these for tonight, because I want to show you the onion sets. So go and get those and we'll do them. So I've got 2 different onion sets I'm going to put in. We've got some red baron, a red onion, and we've got some stir on, and I grew these last year, really like those. They're really nice onion. So I'm going to put one of them in this bed and one of them in this bed, and the only reason these 2 beds look different is they've both got my homemade compost in, which is this, which is still quite woody, but that's fine. And then I tipped a bucket of old potato compost on this bed at the weekend, and it's just what the potatoes grew in last year. So that's the only reason they look different. So I think we'll put the red onion in this one. We'll put the stir on in this one. So onion sets are literally an onion that was started off growing last year, and it's been pulled out of the ground, stored over the winter, and you can plant them now. This sort of time of year, spring. And that is just a baby onion, that's all it is. And you've got the sort of feathery end, the more pointy end. Plant them that way, facing up, and the more rounded end into the ground. And when you go through your onion sets, just check that they're not all squishy and soft or mouldy like that one. That's absolutely no good. It's just soft and shriveling up. So that'll just go in the compost. And then when you're planting them, just push them into the soil, just so that the tip is just sticking out. And that's where This one here, I put this bag on a pot of compost in the shed, and you can see it rooted through the holes in the bag and is actually growing a shoot. And that's just over a few weeks of being left in the shed on a pot of compost. So with that one, because it's got some roots, I'll actually dig a little hole for it. And I'm planting these about 4 inches apart. And that is all there is to it. Now, with onion sets, an onion will grow from seed 1 year over winter, and then the next year it will grow and go to seed. And the only problem with onion sets is you're basically growing them in their second year, and what that means is they do have a tendency to bolt and go to seed. So growing from seed, you're growing the onion in its first year of growth, and therefore there's less chance that it will bolt. But I always do both, because if my seedlings fail for whatever reason, I've still got some onions from the sets. And if you do get an onion that bolts, as soon as you see that flower starting to form, just pick the onion and eat it. Nothing wrong with it. So I'll get these put in, and then we'll do the Red Baron. The Red Baron, I'm going to do exactly the same. And I will say, I find, and I don't know why, but red onion seems to bolt more than your white onions. So I don't know why that is. I don't know if anybody else finds that. And there again is one that was resting on the pot of the compost, and it's growing. So we'll actually dig a little hole for that one, and exactly the same as before, just push them in just so the tips are sticking out about every 4-5 inches. And I'm doing them in a dice pattern again, so that I make the maximum use of the bed, maximum space. I'll put that one in upside down. You do have to be careful, sometimes it isn't blatantly obvious. And if you've never grown onions before, this is a good way to have a first go, because it is a bit late now in the year to be starting onions from seed, because they take so long. I was late starting this year, and I started at the end of February, so but it's the perfect time of year to plant sets. And we live in Shropshire, and the last few days it has really warmed up. That isn't to say it couldn't drop really cold again, but onions are quite cold tolerant, so as long as it's not going to get really, really cold for a long time, they're probably going to be okay. This bed's quite damp. That compost on there really is quite dry because it's been in the shed all winter with the potato pot. So I am going to water that bed in a moment. I didn't think I'd be saying that after all the rain that we've been having. And these, like I say, these are a backup really to my onion seed. You always get a few rotten ones in the bag. And you just literally just push them in to the ground. Nothing difficult or technical about it, and within a couple of weeks they'll be shooting. So these are rotten ones, and there's another one. So one there and one there. And there's another one there. So I'm going to give that bed of water. Now the last thing I'm going to do is put some fleece over these beds. That isn't particularly for frost protection, because we're going to stay fairly warm for the foreseeable future. This is more about deterring rodents, because they do like to come along and dig up your onion sets and pigeons. Once they start to shoot, they can come down and pull them out as well. Mice, rats, squirrels. And when you think about it, at this time of the year, there's very little around, and you've just put in all this nice food for them. So they tend to leave, mice and that tend to leave the seedlings alone more than the sets, in my experience. Pigeons, birds are more the problem with the little seedlings, but I'm hoping I'll get away with it. And if I do notice a problem, I'll cover those seedlings up as well, those Elsa Craig. So there we go, guys. Some onions in, seedlings and sets, and that's a job I've been looking forward to doing for a few weeks now. Just been waiting for it to warm up a bit and dry out a bit as well. It's been so wet. But we've had sun all day today, and the week's looking quite good as well. Not too cold, and maybe spring's finally here. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel. And if you haven't subscribed yet and you'd like to see more content like this, then please do. It doesn't cost you anything, and if you hit the subscribe button, then notifications and all, you'll be notified every time I put a video out. Cheers, guys.